Hey y'all, it's your girl Jada, and welcome back to No BrewSh. This is our second episode, and in case you haven't noticed, we kind of switched up what we're doing and where we're at. We're at Poorhouse, and so this is going to be the new spot for No BrewSh. And before we even get started, I'm just going to let you guys know what I'm sipping on. So I think it's like a pumpkin pie latte. It's really good, so if you guys get the opportunity, go ahead and try it. Well, unless you don't like pumpkin pie, then I guess you ain't going to like it. But anyway, so today we're talking about sex culture. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to see this video or interview that A$AP Rocky did with Angie Martinez for her, I believe it's Untold Hip Hop Stories. And on this specific episode, he talked about a lot of things, but one thing he brought up was this sex addiction that he said that he had since middle school. And I thought it was really interesting just to start this conversation about how do we look at sex culture and how is it different for us as millennials versus how it was years back. And so I brought in a couple of lovely ladies, some you've already seen, and a new face today. And I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves in case you don't know, and then we'll start the conversation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Smith. I'm a senior here,
Like they already know me.
Hey y'all, I'm Victoria A. Jones. I'm a senior here at IUB, double majoring in African Diaspora Studies and Sociology.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Ixchel Mendez Elizondo. I'm a senior also at Indiana University. I am studying psychology with minors in Spanish, human sexuality, and Latino studies.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's dive right in. So y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question I have for you guys is how do you feel like your perception of sex was shaped for you as a child, like from a young age?
Before we answer that question, since you got a little foam on you.
Look, that's what happens when you drink coffee, goddammit.
As a child.
So, from a young age, how was your perception of sex first formed? Like, did your parents have a talk with you about it? Was it something that you saw via, like, entertainment or media or anything like that?
Wow.
For me, I think it might be different than other people. Like, my sister actually gave me, like, the sex talk.
What?
Yeah, like, my mom didn't give the sex talk to my sister or to me. My sister's like, look, somebody needs to explain to you what's going on. Mm-hmm. So, like, what I really appreciate that she emphasizes the importance of consent. Like, at any moment in time, like, yeah, she's like, okay, so it comes for Christian households. So, like, as well, like, wait till marriage, but, like, we don't, like, use condoms. And, like, at any point you feel like you don't want to do this, even if it's, like, he into you or whatever, you feel like you can stop. So that was really important to me, that expressing consent, which is something that we need to express more, and people need to understand that consent is necessary.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I feel like it's cool that you had somebody. Well, how old, like, what's your guys' like age?
Well, we're 12 years apart.
Oh, 12 years?
Yeah.
I mean, even then, it's kind of nice to have, like, a younger person besides your parents kind of talk to you about it. Yeah. Do you feel like...
How old were y'all when y'all had the talk?
I don't remember.
I was 10.
You were 10?
I got my period when I was 10.
What?
So I needed the talk.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when my mom was like,
Yeah.
like, I need to tell her what could happen.
Right.
That's when we had the talk. But my mom's very open-minded, so it was like an open discussion, like nothing was off the table. So I'm really grateful for that because I understand like some parents aren't like that. I just think it's like her background. She's like very liberal and vocal about stuff. But my dad, I've never talked to him about anything like that. Like,
See, it was a different experience for me. Like, my mom and I, we just never had to talk. We didn't even talk about, like, when I got my period, I cried. Because I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, that was a conversation we hadn't had. So even the sex talk, we didn't talk about stuff like that. I think where it's a bad place to get your information from, is my friends.
oh no.
Like, seeing what they were doing, what other people were doing. I feel like that kind of can shape, like, a negative idea about sex. And getting involved with people, so that's kind of where I was learning stuff from, and I really, but then again, I don't know, I
think I don't remember though. I think that I heard it talk, but it was probably with my mom, but I just know my dad was just like he's like, he's just like, well, let nobody take what you have, all right? Like,
Your flower.
Like, the end of it was like, like, don't let anybody take that from you if you don't want that, you know what I'm saying? So we never had that conversation, but I don't know, just because of the area that I was in, but I learned from, not really friends, but I just learned based off of what other kids were doing, because, like, the kids that I was around were fast, like in first grade.
Oh, ma'am.
Okay,
grade,
what?
So serious.
Where'd you grow up?
It was in Indy, but in first grade they was doing things, and I was just like, "What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?"
Scratch his head.
Yeah.
In first grade?
Yes, in first grade. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think like in our age, things just escalated, and I don't think that those people's parents had any type of talk with them.
Yeah.
Right.
They started me off really young, saying, you know, like, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, don't do that, and you probably shouldn't do that at this age. Don't be fast. But I don't think anybody else's parents were saying that.
Yeah.
At that time.
But sometimes I hate this idea of like, don't be fast, don't do this, because that doesn't really prepare you for anything. That doesn't give you no type of information about like, you know, the emotions that go into it, you know, how to be safe. I feel like prep your kids. Don't just tell them don't go do it, because what were you doing? Because a lot of our parents were surely doing it.
Because we're gonna do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So don't tell me don't do it, you know? Tell me how to be better, like.
Because then there's so much more room to make mistakes. I
agree. Yeah.
And you could avoid all that. Honestly, you could. If they want to protect you and have you avoid some of that stuff, talk to them.
I just feel like maybe in my situation it was a little different because even though I was that age, I was still a little bit older.
Yeah.
And when I saw people do that, it didn't sit very well with me at first grade. And even, I mean, I had it to where people were having sex in the hallways in 6th grade.
Yes.
Yeah, actually,
In 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
And then I left that school. I mean, I kind of had...
It was too much.
It was too much for me.
Y'all was fucking in always. It was too much.
My best friend in 8th grade, I moved to the U.S. in 7th grade. So I came in 7th grade. And the U.S. is like wild compared to back home. But my best friend in 8th grade got pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a 9-year-old that had gotten pregnant at that school that I had left.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just put into perspective, like, she just got pregnant. I don't even know anything about pregnancy. So that's, like, I kind of put 2 and 2 together about being fast. That's all my parents had to tell me, because I mean, I know that, like, you know, when somebody tells you not to do something, you're more intrigued to do it.
Yeah.
But I was a scaredy cat when I was a child, and so when they say don't do that, I don't need no more explanation for my personal, you know, experience. I don't need any extra explanation. So they say don't do this. All right, I'm not gonna do it, and then I see what happens when you do that.
Yeah.
You get pregnant at 9.
I think that's interesting you say that too, like when you said it creates this kind of conception about other people too, because I think like in 6th grade I remember that when I hear you hear about girls that are doing sexual things right at this age, and so boys, and then I think the reason I'm focusing on girls a little bit too is because of course there's that double standard there, and I see that even in your youth. Like, what boys were doing sexually was not as talked about in school as it was when a girl did something. And then you start already having these ideas of, oh, she's fast, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that, when you really don't even know. Even if it's just somebody who happened to get pregnant, you really don't even really know the circumstances of that. And then you're basing something. Yeah.
Especially basing it off of age, and I'm thinking, well, a 9-year-old got pregnant, so what's going on at the household?
Exactly. Because I remember being young and being in 6th grade, and if I saw somebody that was pregnant and having like a judgmental attitude about it as a young kid, like, why am I thinking like that?
Yeah.
You know, where does that come from?
Sure. I mean, honestly, we still do it now.
Yeah.
Like, if one of your classmates pops out pregnant, you're like...
And even at the age that we are now...
You gotta check yourself. Yeah.
You don't know what's going on in somebody's life. That might be what they wanted.
True.
Yeah.
At this age, especially at this age, I just feel like you shouldn't be so judgmental about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, I mean, even when people say like they're carefree and like they like, you know, everybody's so free spirited, I feel like that's really not the case. They want to put on that facade to say that they're free spirited and they don't really care about what people do and what people shouldn't care about what they do. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like everybody in our age group are the most judgmental.
They are.
That's fair. Yeah.
They are. And I think sometimes people kind of just are followers. They go with what idea seems the best and what everybody else is saying. Yeah. Especially like when you look at Twitter, people are sheeple folk. Like especially when it comes to something like this, like sexuality, I think people just kind of go along with what sounds good. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have noticed that at all.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me into media and how that plays a role. Do you guys feel like any type of media in your life, like entertainment media, has kind of shaped how you look at things, besides like that personal view of family and friends?
For sure. I would say, like, growing up, I think that media has definitely let go of a lot of restraints and is allowing much more to be seen. I mean, like a PG, you would see things that you probably would see in a PG-13.
Yeah.
And it's now considered, like, normal.
Yeah.
But I think that having those barriers was necessary because now we have people in our age group running rampant.
Yeah. I think it's just more accessible now. Like if you want to see porn, you can go on Twitter and find porn if that's what you want to do. Yeah, I think it's just more accessible. I mean, she said no. She said what?
Just type in 18 plus on Twitter and it's there.
That's true. NSF Twitter or NSFW, not safe for work Twitter.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are those accounts where people, and you make money off of it, and that also comes into sex work, and it's a job,
Right.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people that are sugar babies, and it's like a very open thing, and I love it. I personally think that it's good that we're moving away from like media being so restrictive, but it's also like media shaped my sexuality in a way where I am a Latina, so like there's always this image of like us having to be spicy and like very fetishized, very extra, and you all as Black women know that, the ecstatic look, the thing. So it's like I feel like when I first started having sex, I always had to be like, oh, like the freak, you know what I mean? And I was just like, dude, it is what it is. Like,
right.
You get what you get.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be this image. And I feel like that really did shape me. And I had to make a conscious effort to move away from that.
And that's crazy. You have to make a conscious effort to just do what you want to do.
Exactly. Right. And that's what's sad. And check people on it, like, whenever they say something stereotypical, you gotta
check them.
Call them out.
So
if you feel like it. Because some days I'd be like, you know what?
Let it go.
I don't got the energy to be woke today.
Yeah.
I don't. I be waking. I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of y'all being dumb. I'm just like,
sometimes.
this just be me.
Yeah.
Like, sir.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think even as a Black woman, like one thing I feel like I struggle with, it's like that Jezebel stereotype that we always talk about, where you're already hypersexualized. So sometimes, like you said, you make a conscious effort to kind of shy away from, showing sexuality or showing how you feel about things like that. Especially when I look at other Black women in my life, like my grandmother and stuff like that. That's not really something that, I don't know, it's like owned, you know what I mean? Or something that she necessarily always talks about, something that she kind of shies away from, I feel like.
Her sexuality?
Yeah.
I think for me it's opposite. My grandmother, she's like the person
I got it.
Literally at the dinner table be making sex jokes and whatnot. I was like, okay, grandma, little like, you do you, but we just met these people today. We're trying to have some dinner with them. We just met this couple. Like, we can, not talk about sex. Yeah. But I think as far as media, what's really like inspired, like influenced me is like music videos. So I think different from like obviously from like being a kid to being an adult technically now is like seeing like how women are portrayed. So like before, like growing up a Christian like background, you see like the hip hop videos are like, oh, don't be a bit of vixen, don't dress like that, don't be like that. And now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I can be a bad bitch if I want to. Okay, I can dress a certain way, I can walk a certain way. It makes me feel more empowered. So people think that like, okay, so yes, like we're objectified and whatnot, but also like I have the autonomy to choose what I want to wear, what I want to say, how I want to portray myself. So for me, like it's empowering because like sex is a type of power. So whether it's like, I don't know, good sex or like bad sex, it's like a transfer of like power. So like being like aware of that and acknowledging like you have your own power. So I think that's like cool that we can watch videos like that and see that, like see women in power.
All right, you guys, we're gonna take a quick sip and then we'll come right back to you. During the break, we were having a conversation about some type of stereotypes with sexuality, and one thing that Shelly brought up was about sex and feelings. So I thought that'd be kind of interesting to dive into and kind of pick your brain on that, see what you were thinking in regards to that.
Yeah, we were talking about, the whole, if you have sex with this person, like you have to be in love and there has to be so many feelings and butterflies, and bullshit. That's all I have to say about that. Like, I can have sex with you and it can be completely... Just sex, just dick. I'm gonna come out and say it.
Right. I do think that's possible. I think because I haven't experienced it, I don't know how to. I don't know what it's like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that might be for like a lot of people, if they haven't engaged in that and known how to do that and not put feelings into it, then they may not think that that's possible. I think that's why a lot of people kind of believe in that you have to be in love type thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's
you
what you're
don't have
taught.
to be in love to have sex.
No, absolutely not.
No.
How does
You don't
hookup
have
culture
to have
happen?
sex to be in love.
Right.
We don't.
But do you guys think there's a soul tie there? Maybe not necessarily in love, but do you believe in soul ties?
You know what? I feel like when you allow yourself, like I feel like I have to make a conscious effort to be like, wow, I'm really feeling it. Like, I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But like I can have sex with people and not have that connection.
Yeah. And
But I see where you're coming from. Like I can see where it could be strictly feelings, but it's just like, I don't know, I just don't give myself up. And that also comes with like generations of trauma and generations of men just doing women dirty, especially women of color. Although, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself that because I'm fairly light-skinned, but still, like, my generation literally my lineage comes from Spain, you know, was in Mexico for over 200 years raping our indigenous people, and, like, that is in my blood. Like, the colonizer is in me. So, like, I feel like some of that is subconscious trauma that we have as women where it's like, is sex really that meaningful? You know what I mean? Yeah. Is it a tool that you're using over me? So, I don't know. I feel like that's where I've turned that switch off because I don't want to ever feel like someone has that hold on me.
Yeah.
For me, being a Pisces, look, I feel all things
Oh,
all the time.
God.
I cannot separate anything.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be having a conversation, people like, wow, I'm really feeling them. And they're like, oh, I got a girlfriend or I got a boyfriend. It's like, oh, okay, well, you know, I love we can be friends, you know.
Okay.
Like, for real, no, like, for me, like, I'm, like, the exact opposite. Like, I respect you and your truth, like, no lie, but, like, for me, so many feelings all the time.
Yeah.
It's not everybody.
Yeah, I feel that. I think for me, it's like, in order to have it, that's why sometimes the notion of soul ties can be bullshit, because I feel like in order for me to have a soul tie with you, I have to get to know you in some capacity. If we're just getting to know each other, you know, in this space, in this sexual space, and I don't really know nothing else about you, I feel like, how can a soul tie really develop?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where that kind of thing, I don't
kind
understand.
of compare it, this is going to sound really weird, but I kind of compare it to like group work in a classroom. You don't have to have an emotional connection to get work done.
That's true.
You know, if all you're trying to do is get your work done, trying to get your nut off, you don't have to have an emotional connection.
That's true.
When you go outside of that classroom, I don't know anything about you. When we get in there, you better know all this information. I'm gonna know this information so we can get this project done. Get the A+.
Well, okay, so what's with the people that you find really, okay, so this is a question for y'all. So the people that you find really attractive and you're like, fuck, you have no personality, but you're so hot. So you just don't have sex with them?
It just turns me off.
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but I think
I'm like the proud slut in the group. It's fine. It's fine. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I don't know, but I think that's because I think it just depends on what you're looking for. That's what that comes down to. You
That's
know what
true.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people have that misconstrued and twisted up. They don't know exactly what they want, but they plunge themselves in situations, and then they get themselves fucked over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone says you should be in a relationship. Or you
Yeah,
should be doing
you
this,
have
should be
that
doing
media beating at your neck, and then you have like, well, maybe you just want some dick.
Yeah, especially when you enter college. That's the biggest thing. It's like when you come down here, it's either like, it's like you only got two options. Either you're going to get you a college boyfriend, love of your life.
Don't do that.
Or girlfriend or whoever. Or then the other side, you're going to be hoeing, whatever that means. Hoeing, whatever that means. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, look, I had a boyfriend for the first 3 years of college. Draining. Men at our age can't do it, okay?
Yeah.
If he's watching, I'm sorry, but like, you drained me. Sir. Like, to this day, I'm drained. Like, just the thought of it, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
College, having a college relationship, having to be with that person, you know,
You don't have to be.
You have to be with
You don't.
them all
But they
the
make
time.
you feel that
That's
way.
the key.
They make you
They
feel
make
that
you
way.
feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah, when
Yes.
it's like, I ain't come down here for you. I came down here to be focused on my studies and other things. And then you feel like you got to devote so much time to them. And sometimes people get so caught up in the relationship, then the friendship aspects kind of suffer.
That's key right there.
And then both of those relationships are important, but I think some people feel like if you ain't getting dick out the other or you ain't getting pussy out the other, relationship that it's not as valuable sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
and I feel like at that age group, that's why you probably shouldn't worry about a college relationship.
Yeah.
Because you're just fresh out, and you're like, well, I'm free. We here. Ain't nobody else here. Let's just fuck all the time, and then like possibly do some homework.
Right.
You never get to the homework.
Yeah, you never get to the homework. We study together, babe. No.
Study dates are not a thing. Either you're going to go on a date or you're going to study because I'm not going to be able to concentrate looking at your fine ass.
So do y'all feel like as you get older, it's easier to balance that then?
Sex.
Well, sex, but also, I mean, being in a relationship and trying to be focused on other things too.
That's me. I can't. I don't know. That's on y'all because I
think my relationship is different because we have space apart, and I have to make time to spend with him because he's not down here. He's 50-something miles away. So I can only go on the weekend. So when I'm here, I have my focus. But I haven't ever been in a situation where like I'm in a relationship where I'm like, a couple steps away from him or a little bit of a car drive away.
I see.
Yeah.
For me, I've like tried to talk to people who were like never on the same page. So like they want one thing or I want one thing, or like the communication's not good. Like, oh, I was busy. I was like, okay, everyone's busy. I literally we have a planner, we have apps. You can send me a quick text and like, hey, I have a busy day, but I hope you have a good day today, or something like that.
When
so,
we scheduled this,
yeah.
we were free.
So like I've never like had a relationship because I've always been on different pages with different people. So I've been mostly just focusing on me. Worked out pretty well.
Yeah. It's kind of on topic but off topic. I was thinking about, since we kind of talked a little bit about like college, that aspect of it, how many people I hear at a young age that do have sex, and I mean young as in when we were talking about
13.
6th grade, or 13, or even could be now as college, because we're still young. I mean, we're adults, but we're young. And how many stories of like unfulfilling sex I hear about? People who are unhappy in their sexual experiences that they're having.
Everyone that I know, every experience.
Yeah, and I don't know what that stems from. It's like, are you afraid to ask for what you really want? Because I feel like sometimes people are afraid to critique or afraid to say what they really would like to have done or to do. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yikes. I don't even think I started enjoying sex until college, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like my first times were terrible, and they're still like, and you still have those terrible experiences to this day. And I just feel like it's a lot from so in my culture we don't talk about sex. So like if you go into the bedroom and you have this, it's so hard for me to tell you what I need.
Yeah.
Because no one has ever sat down and talked to me about it.
Yeah.
What are things that you need? Like,
I don't even know what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's been great to like do this self-discovery and, like go into a sex shop and buy things for me and do like please myself and then figure out myself first, and then just being brave enough to tell my partner. I feel like that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like hard.
It is hard.
I would like to sit here and say that I do it, but I don't.
Really?
I feel like I just do what you know what I mean?
Whatever comes.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like this, okay, but now I don't sit down like this, and I feel like that should be a thing.
That
it should be.
Right?
It feels
Socratic seminars about what you need.
Okay.
With your partner. That's necessary. You can tell them you want a burger from Burger King. You can tell them what you want them to do with
That's
your partner.
true.
And it don't have to be like it don't have to be like a serious. I think sometimes we think it's gotta be like super serious. Like we gotta be real serious. Like I'm coming at you. You need to be doing this, and that. Cause you ain't doing it.
But see, I'm too dominant for that. I'm too dominant to be nice to be like, no anal. No anal, lick my toes. I just can't.
Now the toe sucking, girl. I can't. I feel like for me,
you gotta make a list.
It used to be so hard for me to say something. Like with my boyfriend, it'd be so hard for me to say something. If there was something I wanted to do, and now I just like, see, I've been taking the approach of like, I'm gonna say it as a joke and see what you think and test the waters. And I say it as a joke, and I'm like,
just kidding,
cool.
unless
you gonna be mad at me. I'll be like, it'd be kind of cool. Or would you like ever do such and such? Just joke around. So then if you be like, no, I can be like, just playing. Or if he does, we'll kind of open up the conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more that I've done that though, out of jokes, we've had more conversations about stuff like that, which makes me feel more comfortable about trying new things, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like now I feel more comfortable kind of bringing up that conversation than I used to be.
Right, but that's a relationship. How do you do that with like a hookup?
But I think you could.
No, you should. You should. Yeah.
Because you have some level of comfortability. You don't have to be together, but you have some level of comfortability.
That's true.
And I feel like you could definitely, you know, I mean, shoot, we kicking it, and if there's something on your mind or something you want, and you guys have that kind of relationship, you should be able to bring it up.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
With the hookup, it should be even easier.
Yeah.
Because you don't really care about hurting their feelings.
Yeah, and you don't have to.
That's terrible.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
No bullshit. It's true.
Because you don't have to. I mean, if it ends up going sour, you pick up another one. And you just drop the Lego.
Somebody didn't do it
You
better.
know what?
Yeah, somebody didn't do it better.
That's what your 20s are for, right?
Exactly.
That's how I look
Find out
at
what
it.
you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to touch on that thing that you talked about with pleasing yourself, because I remember as a kid, I used to be so ashamed because I started doing it kind of about sex now. And I kind of wanted to touch on this whole stereotype and kind of delve into that a little more. Why she's looking at me like her ears perked up.
I'm just kidding.
Dive into this whole stereotype, and I don't know. I mean, are we really that open to people that express their sexuality in that way? Because I don't feel like we are. I feel like we still have a very traditional, old school way of thinking about people who, you know, own their sexuality in that way.
Yeah. Especially in our communities.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like the white community is more accepting about sexuality than, you know, the Latino, the Latinx community, the black community.
Yep.
It's like such a big deal to them.
You know where that stems from, though, is just kind of how you were talking about the history and going back into history. I think white people sometimes have that space to be a little more open because they don't have those hypersexualized labels attached to them. So when you do have that, you try so hard not to fit this stereotype that they've already assigned to you. And I think that's why, for example, like, I'm going to use female rappers just as an example, but, you know, a lot of times there's a conversation of why do we uplift these female rappers that, you know, have this super hypersexualized image versus conscious women rappers. And a lot of times I think it's just because, ooh, I lost my train of thought, sorry. I think people sometimes get mad that these hypersexualized women are put on a pedestal, but dang, I lost my train of thought.
No, I see what you mean. Like, they're important for the power that you were talking about.
Yeah, but I think that makes people uncomfortable because they feel like, well, why is this the only image that's kind of glamorized and looked at, you know what I mean, compared to this other type of woman?
To like the regular woman, the one that's not famous.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a good point.
That's one that I would like to advocate for, because I feel that the hypersexualized female rapper is the only thing that I see now.
Yeah.
And I see that's what everyone is trying to aspire to be.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's okay. Embrace your sexuality, embrace what you want to embrace. But I feel like, what about the normal, the regular?
I see what you mean.
Yeah. And there's two different narratives that get pushed about that. Like, some people say that with the hypersexualized image, they'll say that they want that. And then, you know, people will put people on a pedestal. And then on the same token, then people will chastise it and say that it's wrong. So it's like, which one is it? You know what I mean?
The people that are on the forefront that are, you know, getting the millions of dollars, but then there's somebody that is like us, you know, just chilling, and then they want to pop out and do that, then it's a negative connotation on it. It's like, you're doing too much, or why are you projecting yourself like that?
Yeah.
If you want to praise that, then you should praise that person. Forms. You should praise it in all forms.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Definitely.
So there will be times like where I'll go out like to parties or bars or something, like I'll dress like, you know, be dressing bad, you know, like I want to look like an Instagram baddie, I want to look like that bad bitch. Then people like, it's something weird to happen to me. People want to judge me and say, well, that happened to you because of that. Like literally going to parties or like where the frats will act a certain way, like, well, you shouldn't have dressed like that. I was like, bitch, how the fuck you gonna tell me not to dress like this? Like I look good. Like doesn't mean he has an excuse to treat me this way.
Yeah.
Out of pocket.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I kind of feel like. Again, I mean, that just kind of goes back to what we're talking about. People are just not as open to sexuality and expressing that as people say they are.
No. Yeah, no, they're not.
I mean, and then, like, people use different media outlets. Like, Twitter is where people can go loose, but then in the real world, they try to be modest and try not to show how they actually, you know, how they actually present
because of
themselves.
other people.
Yeah, even though those other people can see it.
On Twitter. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, even though they can see it and they might retweet it with you, but if you actually perform that and walk that way in real life, everybody just looks down on you.
Yeah, that's
But I think that's more a testament to how uncomfortable they are. Because people get real uncomfortable when they see somebody doing something that they wish they could do. And I think
that's that on that.
Yeah, I think that's why there's such a, I don't know, and that goes back to what we were talking about with like your background and stuff. They may have been raised, you know, a certain way to where they felt like they can't do that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of work needs to be done to move away from the way we see sexuality.
Yeah. I definitely feel like it's made a lot of progress.
Oh, for sure. We're still not there. I don't know. I just, like, I hope that one day we can see, like, someone in booty shorts and, like, not be weird about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And people with different genders wearing booty shorts.
Boys wearing booty shorts.
Yeah.
Boys.
Right.
Or if you, I don't know, like when I go to class, I'll go to class like this. Like I will dress up, get my makeup ready and stuff, and people will literally be like, "So you like always dress up for class? Like you always?" Yeah. It's not dressing up, dude. Like I just put clothes on. Yeah. I like feeling good about myself, you know, and it's not about anyone. Yeah. So I wish we could move away from like, I don't know, just like those ideas of what we should look like in the scenarios we gotta be in. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying go to work in lingerie, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
Go to the coffee shop in lingerie.
I think that just starts within the home. Honestly, that just starts within the home and starts with the youth, the younger people. I mean, I think our kids are gonna have a different conception of sex versus, you know, our parents and our grandparents, just because the way we already think. Mm-hmm. So I think we can start, you know, moving in that direction by talking to our own kids about stuff like that and having these type of conversations with them. I think that's the way you get around that.
Now, do you think that when we or the children that are going to be born after us, do you think that it's going to be like even easier for them to gain a sex addiction just because of how everyone is now even more open about sex? Because if people are more open about sex, that just opens the door for them while they're even younger.
I mean, I feel like no, because I think sometimes even a sex addiction can develop if you're suppressing those type of things, you know what I mean? Because then you might explore it and then you really like it a lot, and so then you overindulge. So
in an unhealthy way.
Yeah, so I feel like either way, it could be, I feel like either way, it could turn out that way. I think, but the way to prevent that is to have that conversation. Yeah. Because if they're only seeing one type of image all the time or given misinformation from all these other sources, you've got to have something to counter that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how you kind of get around that, in my opinion.
I feel like in an ideal world, you know, our kids will have the information to be able to explore without overindulging in a healthy way. Yeah. That's what I say. And the comfortable space to be able to say what they need and able to express to their parents, or I don't want kids, but y'all kids can express to y'all.
We be having a lot of people that don't be wanting kids.
I'm having kids.
I think when it's just comprehensive sex ed, like in general, like it's difficult though too, because people at home, like your family, are like, oh, that's what the school is for, and people at school are like, oh, it's for your family, then nobody's telling anybody anything, and we're getting all this bad information from friends and really don't know nothing about nothing.
Twitter,
when you have to get your information from porn and you have to get all your information from porn and friends. That are the same age as you. You don't have anybody with experience, possibly.
Yo, and porn is awful. Yeah. Awful to women.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, I don't know, with porn, you just have unrealistic expectations that then develop from that.
And it seems like no matter how many times you say that, that expectation is still going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you got to let people know. You know what I mean?
I'm not about to do that. I'm not doing that.
The cream pie, squirting, that's not...
Come on.
Yeah.
That's special effects.
Yeah. Right. 16.
That's for special occasions only, sir. Please.
I was gonna say it's hot, but it's kind of cold now.
But definitely high expectations, unrealistic expectations for sex. Yeah. It's literally just sex.
Period.
People just need to realize that. If you add emotions into it, because you have an emotional connection, then yes. But people need to just realize sex is made for reproduction. Yeah. In the first place. It's now people put that on the back burner and just use sex as the word instead of reproduction. You're trying to prevent what it's made for when you pull. You know, you're pulling out, you're using contraception because you don't want that to happen, but that's what that action is created for.
I would argue it's for pleasure.
I mean, it's good that it has pleasure because then, you would look around and say, you would look around and just be like, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like doing that right now. But because it's pleasurable, it makes you want to do it.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any lasting thoughts?
I love sex.
Sex is amazing.
Period.
I'm so glad.
That's all I have to say.
Victoria, anything you want to add?
I just want to say shout out to all the queer people out there, and that's all I got to say about that.
That's the best sex. If you know, you know.
I want to thank my lovely guests for being here, and I want to thank you for watching. And I don't want to say stay tuned next week because I don't know when this is going to come out, but stay tuned for the next episode. It'll be about stan culture, and so I think it'll be really exciting, and I can't wait to talk to y'all again. Bye.